What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to the Fortune Roots podcast. I'm your host, Matthew Couture, and this is episode 4 of the Forging Friday episodes. I hope you guys have been enjoying these episodes a lot. I know I've been enjoying sitting down and recording these, and I'm kind of enjoying the shorter form and not so much of the long interview type with the guests. It's a nice breakup. I know some people can't sit through all of that. So hopefully, if not, this is for you guys. But yeah, this week's topic that I wanted to kind of go over of something that kind of forged me into who I was the idea of going to college, right? Ever since I was a kid, that was just something going through all of school, like elementary, middle school, and definitely high school, is where are you going to go to college? Where are you going to go to college? And college can be good in the right circumstances, but I wish somebody would have asked me the question of, instead of where are you going to college, what do you want to do? And if you weren't certain, reassuring me that that was okay. My parents did, but overall society in general just kind of pushes that. In my mind, there's really no other idea. And it's nothing like my parents loved me. They wanted the best for me. So obviously this is, I'm not putting blame on them. So if they are listening, that's not what I'm doing. But no, this whole concept of you go to college, you pay all this money to get a degree that most people don't even end up using or paying off. You know, I don't regret my decision to go to college per se, because going there initially, I went, for those of you who don't know, I went to Grand Valley, which is in West Michigan, for 2.5-ish years. Yeah, about two and a half years. Dropped out. I kind of just realized as I was sitting, I was going for information systems, which is basically computer stuff for those who don't know. And I wasn't quite sure, like as I was sitting down going, this is the career that I really want to do for the rest of my life? When I went there and I toured the school back in high school, I just remember going, okay, I like tinkering with like fixing my Xboxes, working on my computer in the hands-on aspect. So I thought it'd be more building computers, building software, all this kind of stuff, not so much sitting down and coding, which as I got into the schooling and doing more of, and even though I still went there before and asked specifically between, because I was originally going to go for a computer science degree, but thinking it'd be more of that versus the information system side of things, still was pretty much coding. And it was an expensive mistake to learn from. And that's what I'm kind of hoping somebody that might be younger, might be looking to go to college in the next couple of years or next year, or somebody that is in college right now that's not loving what they're doing. I dropped out, and with that comes the stigma of, oh, you weren't good enough. You weren't smart enough to finish. You're never going to make it in life. You're always going to be some grunt worker, as if being a hard worker in general is a bad thing. That one still never makes sense to me, because I'll take somebody that's got hard work ethic over somebody that got a degree that, so what, honestly, so did so many other people. You know, there's so many people that go to college and get degrees. What does that degree mean anymore? And as I kind of sat back and reflected on these things and looked around and saw the people that were in my classes going, okay, one day these are going to be my coworkers, and I don't necessarily like have common interests, or really like, can I really work with these people for the rest of my life, and will I be happy? Will I have made a lot of money if I stayed in that right off the bat? Yeah, and that degree and that profession and job, I would have made a lot of money probably right off the bat, you know, depending if you can find a job, because I know by the time that I would have been graduating, which would have been 2020, things got a little confusing. I may have been able to find a job, but then it was at home, and how good would that experience have been? There was just a lot to factor in. But I just want to say to those that are kind of in that space of, I'm not sure, that's okay. You don't have to know when you're 17, 18 years old. Knowing what you want to do for the rest of your life can be intimidating. You've done nothing but be in school, and not get these experiences and actually work through things in life and try things. And that's why I started the podcast, is learning to try different things. For me, it's been hunting and shooting bows and reading, honestly, things that I want to read, not what I have to read for school. Um, just all these different topics and different things. Woodworking, that's what I do for a job now. I enjoy it. I've worked my way up through hard work. I started off when I dropped out not knowing anything. I went there, I could barely read a tape measure, and that horrified my dad, who is a carpenter my whole life. And I came to him that first week of like, hey dad, like I'm struggling trying to read this tape measure and the fractions and understanding it. And he just looked at me, he goes, how have you gone this long? I've been doing this my whole life, your whole life, and you don't know that? Come on, Matt. So thankfully he sat down, and I know it now. It took a little practice, but we got there. But kind of got off rails. But hey, that's what podcasts are for, right? So going back, I went to college for 2.5 years, and I didn't drop out because I wasn't getting the grades. I was still passing my classes. I just kind of got to a point in my life where I was little like, oh man, is this really what I want to do? I'm spending a lot of money on this. Do I want to keep spending money and just get the degree, get the degree? I had so many friends and family that said, just push through, get the degree, because it's going to help you in the long run. Maybe it would have, but I really don't know anymore, because I know from a lot of other friends for quite a while, they've been struggling trying to find jobs, either because they don't have experience in the field that they want to work in. They said, okay, you have a degree, so do all 50 other people that applied for this job. What sets you out from the rest of them? Granted, hopefully you had internships and did the right thing, but I don't think necessarily people need to go to college and spend all this money. Even Elon Musk, there's a video out there, I can't remember off the top of my head, so if I misspeak, correct me, but I'm pretty sure I'm remembering this right, saying, why go to college? Because you can get everything you want for free on the internet and looking that stuff up. Just about, not everything, but point being, you can learn and figure out just about anything. YouTubing, Googling how to fix cars, how to do whatever. And then if you want to, there's also nothing wrong with trades. That was something that I was getting a lot of flack for from people in my life that looked down on me because I was going to be giving up this degree, as if that made me less smart or not scholarly. And quite honestly, it kind of lit a fire under me, like a fire under my seat, right? That's a saying. And I was like, you know what? No, screw that. I'm going to prove everybody wrong. And I know I'm smart. I was secure in that. I mean, I'm not the smartest in the world, but I'm not stupid. This wasn't like, it was just like, oh, I don't feel like, and I wasn't a kid that was partying. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I don't do any of that stuff. That wasn't the case. It wasn't like, oh, well, the party's over, time to drop out. That was not the case. I just knew that I wanted to do something with my life that I would be proud of. How many people have I heard, or do you hear? I'm sure we have all heard it, like, oh, I go to my 9 to 5, or I go to my job and I am not happy. But you just got to do what you got to do. I don't know why or how to describe it, but since I was a kid, like little kid, that has always irked me and not been exactly what I want for my life. Granted, I'm also not going to pretend and say you're going to find the job that you're passionate about, that you're going to get up every single day and be happy about. That does not exist. Whatever you do or end up doing, you're going to do to the best of your ability, or you should do to the best of your ability. That's what I try to do each and every day, is put forth my best work, my best effort, and my best attitude. I do those 3 things every day. I used to, before I started working and I dropped out there. I mean, when I finally made the decision to drop out, I had a couple more months left on my lease out at school. So I did stay with friends, and there was a couple months where I just didn't have anything going on. I was sitting there hanging out with my friends and just living a relaxed lifestyle, staying up till 3 a.m, sleeping in till noon, just kind of living that life. And when I came home, my parents were strict with me, and they're like, hey, you've dropped out, you've come back, you need to find a job. And I agreed because obviously I now dropping out, these school loans are going to kick into effect in a couple months. And even though some of them were in my name, but then parents signing on them, it was never a doubt in my mind that I was going to pay that for them and not stiff them with the bill, because that's just not the kind of person I am. And I was like, yep, you're right. And since I started working at the place that I do now, doing woodworking and custom cabinetry, I have been up 5 a.m. every day for over 3.5 years now, out the door and never late, never called off sick. And I don't say that as a way to brag, like, oh, look at me, but I've done that and I've worked my way up. I went from starting knowing absolutely nothing to now I'm team lead in running the whole building that I'm at for doors and countertops. But why would they put some, and I am, and not that ages matters per se, but I'm 24 and able to work with people and they treat me as equal that are much older than me. Yet I prove to them that I come into work every day. I'm reliable. I work hard. If I don't know something, I'm going to learn it, put forth that effort. But I did all this stuff without a college degree. And I guess I'm just kind of rambling and trying to remember everything as I go through, and different things keep popping in my head right now. But again, I'm just trying to say there's so much money to be spent in going to college, and I'm still paying off my school loans. I am very, very close. I am into single digit numbers finally from the 40 plus that I owed. So that feels, well, single digits for the thousands. I'm not in the doubles, but I am obviously very close. And it's something I'm proud of that I've been able to do in such a short amount of time. You know, people might look differently. And I know some people probably have some things, if you're listening to this, that you may think about me because I dropped out or because I don't have this degree, or, oh, he's just a woodworker, or he's never going to amount to anything in his life. And guess what? If you do think that, first of all, just shame on you, because just because somebody doesn't have the profession that you think they should or isn't prestigious enough doesn't mean that that person isn't happy with what they do. I am very happy in my life now compared to what I was. I had very crippling anxiety when I was in school and doing that whole thing as I kept going on and not knowing, and the fear of just, oh, this doesn't feel right. This isn't for me. To the point where there was a week straight, I did basically came out of my room out at school for eating, bathroom, cleaning up, and maybe going out with my friends once in the evenings. Other than that, and even then, I don't know. I didn't even go out with my friends that week. There was literally 1 week where I said, no, I give up. I'm staying in my room. I'm going to be anxious. I could not sleep. I lost breath in my lungs to where I could not breathe, just short of breath. And I'd never had that before in my life. But I got home, and when I got home, started going to church again. That spiritually obviously helped me get right with God first, and then also continuing through of getting up every day, having a job, being regimented, and learning to work with my hands. And I can do so much now, and there's a craft, and people see what I've done, and I can show pictures, and it's something that I can physically say, this is what it was before, this is what it was after. And for me, that's what I needed. And for so many other people, there are people that don't necessarily need to be going to school for business. Honestly, in my opinion, could there be good uses for it? Yeah, but I think it's kind of just bull crap in general. If you want to do business, learn how to start a business, look online, figure these things out as you go. And yeah, you could maybe take a class here and there, because there's people that obviously know what they're talking about. But the one thing I do remember too is all these professors in school have this textbook idea and thing that they tell you of what it's going to be like in your field, of what this is going to be, versus having that. I remember my business law professor, he was the one guy that just comes to the top of my head, that he actually practiced law and was a lawyer and did all this stuff. And he was giving us real life examples of certain cases he's been on or sat through. And that I learned way more from just the stories and talking than him just going, okay, click to slide 3, take these notes on this, here's your test, move on. Everything that I was doing in school, I honestly just probably in this year, out the other. I got the grades then, but it didn't retain nothing. I don't remember how to do most of that stuff. If you were asked me to code a website page like I used to, I could probably figure it out, taking some time, but didn't retain. It was just sitting through a book. And now having this real experience of woodworking, having, I mean, this is something that's not, even if this isn't my profession for the rest of my life, if things change, things happen, but even if it wasn't, now I've got this skill that's cemented into my brain of, it transitions over so well for my life when I get a house one day and be able to do fixer upper stuff and not having to actually have somebody come out. Because guess what, no matter what your degree, if you only have a certain, like you're a doctor or whatever, like, but you don't know how to frame out a wall or put up drywall or do little things, patch holes, you're still going to call that guy that you may have looked down on to come fix your house. And guess what, there's a lack of it in the market, so you can make really decent money doing that stuff. Not that money's my motivating factor, because it's not. Money, honestly, like, yeah, I needed to live and support myself and eventually one day support a family of my own, but that's all it is to me. This whole thing of thinking you need a career that you need to be super proud of, like, obviously I want to be proud of the things that I've done, but for me, at least deep down, I've never had like oh, I need to hit this amount of money made and I'll know I've made it. Or if I have this career or this profession or this specific job, that will be like, I did it. I'm happy. I'm sufficient in what I've done. For me, it's always been, I want a family. I want to be married. I want to have kids. That's like been since I was young. For those of you who know me, that's the one thing I have wanted all my life. So in order to get that, I still need to have this job to provide for them. And that'll come, and I'm able to do that. And I've proved that to myself that, okay, I can put in the hard work. I can work my way up and figure this stuff out without a degree. And for, again, those of you who might be on the fence, talk to your parents, talk to those around you, or whoever is that parental figure helping you through these times, and say, hey, I'm really not sure I want to go to college. Like, if you're going to, in my opinion, might not mean anything to you, but if you are not 100% certain, like, hey, I want to go to college because I want to have this job. If you're just going to college just to go to college, get a degree, or just to go party, you should not go. You're going to spend so much money that you'll never be able to pay back because you're not going to have motivation. And honestly, a lot of the stuff in college is a lot of indoctrination, I feel like, anymore, and just get the grades, go through the flow. Everybody does it. And you're not going to set yourself apart from the rest. Granted, now if you're going to be a doctor, I want you to go to school because I don't want somebody that YouTubed how to do surgery. Obviously, I'm not saying college isn't for everyone. There are certain things that you need to do, but for just general degrees, political science, or just a general business degree, what does that mean? What do you really want to do with that? If you wanted to start a business, just go out and do it. If you guys go back to the Deepwood Firearms episode from this week on Monday, you'll see he dropped out of school and he started a business, and he didn't have the degree. He started several businesses and he's learning to make them successful. You can do this without living up to that stigma of what people think you have to do or what you need to be. Anyways, all that being said, sorry, I didn't know how this was going to go, and I felt a little passionate about that, which is a good thing. Or at least I hope so. I hope that comes out that way. And I'm saying this out of a place of love and care, and look from my mistakes and what I've done. Because again, I met really amazing people. I've got awesome friends that I've made through going to college that I never would have met if I didn't go. So I wouldn't take back my choice because obviously it shaped me to who I am. But there's a little part of me that goes, man, I wish my school and high school would have had trade school, because I would have known right off the bat, hey, I like working with my hands, which I knew, but didn't know, hey, maybe woodworking, or maybe for somebody that's welding or an electrician. And these are all honest professions. And we aren't all supposed to do the same exact thing. You know, we're, if we were, it'd be a very boring world and nothing would ever get done because we'd all go through the same system, and then you just turn out and then you live a mundane life. And honestly, I guess for myself, I don't want to live a mundane life. I want to look back when I'm 90, 80, if God so chooses to let me live that long and I have a blessed life, that I can look back and say I'm proud of the things I've done, the choices I've made, the people I've met, the places I've gone, you know, and I think that's gonna make you happier in the long run. And for me, dropping out, like I said, there are people that I know were not happy with me, and not my immediate family. My mom and dad were loving and supporting and said from the very get-go, like, hey, are you sure? Obviously, at first, when they first heard it, they're like, what? Let's stop for a second, Matt, and think about it. And I did. And once I did, they've been super supportive. And if you ask any one of them, either of them now, and other family members and friends that are close, I feel like they'd say the life that I made for myself and the choices I made, that they're proud of me. You know, I did have to move away from friends on the west side that I made, and that was hard at first. And I like that. I love that side of the state. I didn't want to leave it. But for the time being, I knew it wasn't temporary. It's what I had to do. Just don't be afraid of that. Do what's right for you in the moment, but really sit through and make those decisions. And again, ask yourself, am I going to college just to go to college, or am I going somewhere, or am I going, you go to a trade school or get an apprenticeship because people are hiring? Just, if you're not sure, it's a lot of money to go spend. I mean, even community college is a better choice to make because you're not going to spend nearly as much, and you can still explore and take different classes, and maybe you will find a class and go, oh yeah, this is exactly the route that I want to go, and go down that. Maybe you don't. I don't have all the answers. I'm just kind of sharing my story and what forged me into who I am today. And now those are cemented roots into what make up who I am, who I am today, with a guy that you see podcasting. I figured all this out. And granted, it might not be perfect. And guess what? That's that's okay. I'm, like I told you guys from the very first episode, I believe, if it's not good, awesome. We'll make mistakes along the way. We'll grow from that. We'll take that, improve from it, and keep getting better and better. So, with all that said, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I think it's a little bit shorter. I don't know what time we're running on here, but I know it's not as long as the Monday episodes with the guest, but that's kind of designed that way. I hope, like, if you guys did enjoy this, or if you think this is something somebody younger or somebody you know could get some, even if it's just one little bit of information from, please go ahead and share it with them. Not just for myself, but for them, and to at least challenge themselves to think maybe college is the right route. But if you know someone, you're like, yeah, maybe they don't quite necessarily know, and they might not be listening to you, let me be that voice of reason. Maybe that'll help them sit down and actually reflect, because you can hear some things from parents or from brothers and sisters or cousins or whatever, best friends, and be like, yeah, whatever. But if you hear it, like for me, when I hear things on podcasts, and from different people, I don't know. I think more critically about it because it's not associated with that person, so I can think more freely and not be influenced by them in any way. But yeah, so again, if you guys enjoyed this, share, like, comment, subscribe, follow. It really helps grow this for others that might be getting something from this themselves. So I hope you guys have a great rest of your day or morning, whatever time it is you're listening to this. If you're in the car, safe car ride, everyone does that. If you're at work, that the rest of your work day goes great. And I will see you guys in the next episode.